Hey, this is what I intended for this group. It's going to grow, but I want to say thanks for everybody that's in here. Paint Education University, private Facebook group, no drama, blah, blah, blah. So, Happy New Year, everybody, and I wish everybody luck and success on their projects. What I'm going to do right now is just kind of go through a checklist that I found on just basic housekeeping. You know, it's all about the details. What we do in a shop really comes down to the minutia and us following through and finishing each step in the process. So I want to go over a couple of them that are really pretty important, and maybe we forget about them and don't think about them very much. And then there's the guys like Jeff that's just setting up his own new home shop, guys that paint in a garage that don't have a spray booth. I know I've got that privilege and the wonderful opportunity to spray in my own spray booth, but not everybody has. So the little things make all the difference. So, all right. So causes of defects, not pre-washing a vehicle. Guys, always, 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 SOP, job one, pre-wash the vehicle, whether it's a restoration or a crash job or a hail job or just a buff and detail. Pre-wash the vehicle. Don't do it with car wash soap. Do it with a low pH dishwashing detergent. Get that stuff off of there. Wash the wheel arches. Get all the tire dressing and stuff off of there. You'd be surprised how much contamination can be contained within a surface. Poor surface prep is a cause for trash. Yes, it is, and whatever. So painter's attire. And I'm going down a list. I've got a list. Painter's attire. I know we've all seen the guys on the TV shows in flip-flops, shorts, and a frickin' Dixon shirt, and they're spraying custom paint jobs. No, no, no. Not the right way to do it. It's just not the right way to do it. So making sure that you've got a proper painter suit, and you don't have to have the $100 suit with the anti-static Tyvek blah blah. You can just get a little, just a coverall suit from Home Depot for less than $10. I'd rather you have a suit that you can launder and wash that fits you, has pockets and stuff like that, but you don't have to. Cover yourself up. Cotton is horrible to spray in. Don't do it in a t-shirt, and obviously we want to protect our skin. Wearing gloves. Gloves prevent the transfer of hair, skin cells, finger grease, oils, contaminants from our hands onto the paint project. The process of tacking a vehicle. When I went up for my master's certification in Charlotte, it was an eye-opening and humbling experience. Bob Little put us through basically what he did was shoot us doing what we normally do, and then he busted us on techniques and details. It really comes down to details, and it taught me a long lesson about properly tacking vehicles and making sure that you tack the entire surface, not just give it a kiss and a promise. Tack the entire surface of the vehicle off and prep your tack rags properly. I go through this in Paint Education University extensively. And by the way, anything like this that I'm talking about, please put a request out there if you want to go down the minutia rabbit hole about certain specific prep things. We'll do it. Tack rags, yeah, making sure that you properly tack. It's important. Uneven air velocity. Like I said, I've got a spray booth. I know where the air comes from. I know where it goes away. There was a guy that was talking about his homemade spray environment has inlet on one end and exit on one side down at the end of the hall. And that can create turbulence. So my recommendation to him was to use ductwork and make sure that the airflow goes in a linear format over top of your work. That's important. You want to create an air envelope over top of your work surface and not create a swirling pattern on the side of it. Low quality cups, strainers, plastic paper, and tape. Yeah, use the good stuff. Sorry, it's expensive. It's $10 for a roll of freaking masking tape now. It's ridiculous, which means that we just have to be more careful and use it properly. The blue painter's tape, it's almost as expensive as the legit Bodyshop tape, but it's not the right tape. The paper backing will separate from the adhesive. It's not the right adhesive. It'll dive into certain fragile coatings. Spray gun maintenance. Yeah, you know, my guns are 10 years old and they look like I just pulled them out of the box. And I'm not bragging. It's because I'm fastidious about cleaning my spray guns. They don't have residue on them. They just don't. I bought expensive paint guns when I was coming up in collision, and they showed me that they will pay me back for that purchase, for that equipment purchase. So I take care of them. If I'm going to spend $500 on a pistol, you're darn right I'm going to clean it after every use, and probably oil it down between uses. But the same thing, treat your paint guns with, I don't care what kind of paint guns you have. I don't care if you have the cheap ones. Clean them properly, maintain them properly, at least make them work as good as they're supposed to. So, here's a couple of other things. When you're tacking, don't just tack the painted surfaces. I show this in the DVDs and I show this in the university course. I think I do. No, we don't. Not in the university course, because we don't do a whole vehicle. We just do single panels. So it's really important that you tack off the actual masking paper off of the vehicle surface as well, and get all the contamination off. So this guy, I'm not going to name names, but there was a really, really good technician that told me his procedure for tacking off a vehicle. And basically what it is this. Gets the vehicle in the booth, make sure everything's cleaned up, the booth is vacuumed. If you're putting a floor spray on it, misting water with a bug sprayer, that's fine too. But once the vehicle is prepped, once your booth is prepped, once you're sure that your spray environment is primed and ready for application, now we can deal with the vehicle. So find your direction of airflow. Start at the end where the air is coming into the panel. Don't tack backwards, just like you don't paint backwards. Don't tack backwards. Tack in the direction of your airflow. So start at the top, at the head, and tack your way back through. Even leapfrog, like I teach in an all-over panel or all-over project. Let's just treat it. Let's do procedure, right? I know it sounds silly, or maybe it doesn't sound silly. I hope it doesn't, because these things work for me. So basically, when you're blowing and tacking at the same time, which is the first thing that I recommend, okay, and I'm going down the rabbit hole, I'm getting excited here, then I'll come back and just do a finished tack coat. But anyway, this super duper technician's procedure was to blow with low pressure, about the same PSI as your inlet pressure on your spray gun. And he just used his hand. It was a gloved hand, but you can still feel the surface. And believe it or not, you can feel if there's dust patches on the surface. So he's blowing off with his gloved hand every single square inch of the masking paper, the rocker panels, all the stuff. He's blowing it off with his gloved hand first. Now he comes back, the same path, the same direction over top of the vehicle, and now he's blowing with the tack rag. Then the third session on the tack rag is he's just now tacking off the panel independent of any air movement. So obviously the moving air, the light, low pressure air, more so than high pressure air, which can push stuff down into crevices and cracks, the low pressure air will release dirt and trap particles down into seams or anything like that, or even off the adhesive. So it's a three-step tack process. The first part is not even involving a tack rag. Obviously we don't want to touch a surface that's about to be painted with our hands. But to me, that was just kind of a light bulb went off. In the first place, you can feel if there's grunge on there. In the second place, you're tacking and blowing at the same time in case you've shoved anything down into the cracks. Third pass, when you're tacking, now you're tacking with your tack rag, and you're tacking every square inch of that surface. A whole other subject for a different day is static electricity. I'm not even going to go there now because it's a whole other subject. It's really important, and we'll address this. But static electricity is it's an issue and it's a problem, and your vehicle turns into a magnet. So we'll discuss that in another time. We're talking about pre-prep, prep. So one of the things that I wanted to also talk about is air hose maintenance. Now this is an old air hose. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's got crust and crud on the air hose. That's why it's an old air hose. It was a few years old anyways, and I don't spray as much as I used to in collision. This hose actually was probably 2 years old, and I cycled it out. It was time to change it because it started getting crusty, and I couldn't trust it. Here's why I couldn't trust it. Look under here. This is just a label. What's that going to contain? The coupler itself, the brass started to oxidize and look all patinaed up. You can Wait. You can hear it. It's crusty, right? That's my mic right here. You can hear the coupler. So on top of that, they just kind of wear out after a while, but the coupler's going to trap and release dirt. This label's going to trap and release dirt. All the little cracks and crevices here, I don't trust this hose anymore. On top of that, I cycle my hoses out because they can literally deteriorate on the inside of the hose itself. And that can release stuff into your paint job. So not a bad idea. If you're a weekend warrior and working from home, I don't know, once every couple years, change your air hose out. And if you're working in collision, about every 6 months. About every 6 months you need to, it's one of those expenses that is going to manage what we can manage so we can deal with what we can't. Air hose maintenance, who knew? Well, we didn't know until we had to polish out defects that are caused from crap falling down into our paint. So I'm trying to sit here and just spitball and think of some other things. We've talked about gloved hands, spray suits, completely combining ourselves. If you're wearing a fresh air hood, take the time to blow down your fresh air hood. The solder hood that I have it's fabric down here, and it comes in a cloak that's hook and loop attached right here to keep paint off of my neck and my skin. So about every paint job, I'm going to blow that sucker off before I put it on my head and go into the booth and drag in a bunch of dust that hood had on it. When I tape up and glove up for the booth, my sleeves are all the way down, I put my gloves up, and typically if my Velcro doesn't really cinch it tight around the spray suit, then I'll tape it up, especially in the summer months. Here in Tennessee, it gets really stinking hot. As a matter of fact, when I shot the Rocket Miata, it was 98 or 99 degrees in the booth when I shot it. I was sweating like when I went through my immigration interview, I was sweating like that. And so I tape up and I seam up so I don't get water traveling out from the spray path from my arm dragging onto the horizontal surfaces. That's kind of all I wanted to talk about, is just the simple maintenance and the thoroughness of doing these procedures. Do the little things, but do them right. We're not in this to half-ass. Last time I checked, it was about $800 for a premium gallon of clear coat. Never mind the time that it takes to polish stuff out. I've always said, and you've probably heard me say this before, that surface correction, color sanding, and buffing is the last opportunity that we have to improve, perfect, and repair our painted surfaces. So wouldn't it be cool if we didn't even have to repair? And if we had minimal amounts of trash, so now all we're left with is, what do we want the texture to look like? How is the DOI? How is the reflection? How is the refraction? If we can just fine-tune and perfect rather than repair, then that's a great thing. And that comes from Diligence while you're prepping your stuff in the spray booth. So that's kind of it. One of these days, we'll get on a live system here in Facebook, and we can do Q&A, and I look forward to that, but that's not what this one's about. I just wanted to say Happy New Year. Thanks for enrolling. We got some new students. Thank you guys. Welcome into Paintucation U, and we're growing. My cousin Wayne is here, Wayne Pinsky. Wayne's doing DIY stuff. Wayne and I grew up doing stuff for ourselves because we couldn't afford to have anybody else do it. Plus, it's a whole lot of fun. So welcome, Wayne. And glad to have you here. A guy like that, as somebody that's had to figure it out on their own without equipment, we can bring a whole lot of solutions to the table. So thank you. I'll talk to you soon, and more stuff like this, hopefully on a much more regular basis. I don't want to promise and not fulfill, but this year, it's happening. It's happening. If you saw my Facebook post on We're Just Doing It, this is part of it. So take care, and we'll talk soon.